Hi, guys, gals, non binary pals. I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie.
Hello, I'm Lily.
And does he need CPR? Because I totally know CPR. Never mind that you don't give CPR to somebody who is breathing.
Really? Wow, it almost seems like that's the point of CPR, to help get them breathing.
That's actually not the point of CPR. The
Make them
point of
stay
C-
alive? I don't know.
the point of CPR is to try to help somebody whose heart has stopped.
Oh. Does Thor have a heart? He's a
Probably.
god. I don't
No.
know, like, them.
He's not. That is something specifically that the this movie doesn't really hammer it home. The Dark World hammers it home more, but the Asgardians in the MCU and in Marvel Comics are not gods. By the way, we're covering Thor, and there will be spoilers for
Wait.
this movie in this episode. Um, if you're listening to this on YouTube, there will be a link below to rent or purchase the movie. You can watch it on Disney Plus. We are we decided to take a different approach to the MCU because it's far too long of a franchise for us to rely on the wheel to cover it. So we're going to be doing a MCU movie or show every month. Um, Shows when we get far enough ahead to actually do that. And those episodes are going to be coming out the day after the free movie of the month. Um, yeah, because we realized, hey, it's been like 4 months since we've covered an MCU movie, and like they're still putting out content. And now with the Disney Plus shows that they've been doing, they're putting out content faster than they ever used to.
Okay, so is Odin a god?
Technically, no, not in the MCU. They're just like really super advanced beings that live for a really long time, but they're
Okay, but
not really.
technically they're human gods. Like, there was at some point where humans believed that they were gods.
Yeah, like Jane Foster even says it in the movie. Like primitive cultures like the Vikings would worship them as deities. She literally says that in the movie.
Yeah, that's why I thought. Okay, so MCU has faked me on people being not gods two times. First, first time, lizard people in Loki,
Oh,
and
okay. You're spoiling Loki. I'd prefer you didn't.
lizard people are the one that control our universe, our government. That's what I was trying to say. Don't believe your eyes.
But yeah, this movie, um, this movie is okay. It's far from being one of the best MCU movies, and I certainly think it's no Iron Man. It's definitely better than the Incredible Hulk. It's definitely better than Iron Man 2. Um,
I mean, I don't know what MCU movie can be worse than the Incredible Hulk, but
you you just wait until Thor: The Dark World.
how could Thor: The Dark World be bad? It has Loki in it. It has Loki in it, right?
Yes, but
Good.
trust me.
Yeah.
Just
I just
trust me.
imagine, like, just like, no, it doesn't have Loki in it. This movie sucks.
But yeah, even though this movie is like kind of just average, um, I will say the score is just absolutely fantastic. I think the biggest problem that I and many other people have with this movie is that so many of the scenes are shot with the camera tilted to the side at like a 45-degree angle. And it's something you probably don't notice on your first viewing of the movie, but once you realize it, you won't ever be able to unsee it. And it just kind of gives the vibe that one of the tripod legs is broken.
So, one of my favorite, um, I don't know why, but I really like this movie. I like Hulk's character. Hulk. Wait, what the hell? No, I hate Hulk's character. Especially because the only movie I watched of him was in Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I think you'll like Hulk's character a
No,
lot more later because like his story arc is more of like Hulk's character arc is more of a metaphor for anger management.
hmm. So I love Thor's character. Loki, devilishly evil, my favorite.
Well, see, like
Loki is definitely my favorite villain.
Loki's not really all that evil. Um, like he's the god of mischief, and there's certainly something to talk about, like whether Loki's behavior is truly mischief or malice. I feel like it's I feel like there's a line, and Loki definitely crosses that line into malice a lot of time. Um, like you can see that he's not horrible. He's still like he loves Odin, he loves Frigga, um, and he loves Thor, even though like he, because of the way Odin has parented, he and Thor have had, not the best brother relationship. Because, quite frankly, Odin is a terrible parent. He pits the two against each other with lines like, only one of you can take the throne, but both of you were born to be kings.
I mean, he's right. That's how kingdomship worked. I mean, love it or hate it, one of them has to be a king, and one of them has to be, sit on the sidelines.
It's just the way Odin parents, like, even the way he parents Thor is not very good because, like,
Banishment.
yeah. And
Then
I do
again, Thor
appreciate
did need that.
I do appreciate how the MCU sort of twists the banishment narrative because it still happens in the comics, but in the comics he's turned into a human named Donald Blake, and they actually still use the name Donald Blake.
Really? So wait,
Yeah,
so he was actually named Donald Blake instead of just his fake ID.
yeah, he was named Donald Blake and didn't have memories of being Thor until he picked up the hammer, which I believe was disguised as a staff at first. Um, but yeah, they played
Now,
it off
I
as if it
loved
was as if Donald Blake was Jane's ex. That's really special.
I love how this movie handles it, especially how the despair that Thor felt when he tried to pick up the hammer and he couldn't.
Yeah. Remember the wording of the enchantment that Odin placed on the hammer. You have
Only
to
people.
remember, like, I say this because a lot of people call something that happens later in the MCU a massive plot hole, when if you pay attention to the wording, it's absolutely not a plot hole at all.
The people who are worthy will have the power of Thor.
Yeah, it's like, whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. That's specifically the wording. And oddly, funny thing, one of the powers of Thor is the ability to lift the hammer.
Oh. Okay, so I've been getting this all wrong. So you it's not about lifting the hammer. Like, yes, you need to be worthy to lift the hammer, but that's not correlation. You need to be worthy to get the power of Thor, and then you can lift the hammer.
Yes, exactly. And it's also like I guess it's a nice fallback plan if like Thor never proves himself worthy. Somebody could eventually come along and prove themselves worthy. But then
And get
also
the power of Thor, I guess.
yeah, but then also at the same time, that enchantment was placed on the hammer, right? And it didn't immediately just sink to the ground while Odin was holding it, which implies that Odin is also worthy. Oh, and pay attention to the timing of this enchantment too, because people have said some stupid things about someone else holding the hammer, um, and saying that this person was worthy when they weren't.
Oh, so you mean someone hold the hammer both before the enchantment, right?
Yes, but like,
Anyone saying that is dumb.
yeah, and then like, there's because like before Odin placed the enchantment on the hammer, even Loki could have used it, which actually, fun fact, Loki has used Mjolnir several times in the comics.
Huh.
And
Mjolnir. I actually
he,
like the name. What was one of the characters that gave it? Like
Mew
Marm
Mew.
Mir.
uh, such a great, yeah. Darcy is great, and we will see more of Darcy even like outside of the Thor properties. Um,
Because they now work at Shield, right?
no,
Really? What happened to them after the movie? I'm curious.
Selvig works at Shield. Darcy and Jane do not.
Hmm. Okay. Oh, I almost forgot about the end of the movie. You were telling me you had trouble with the end credits, right? You did agree to watch them, right?
Yes, it's just Disney Plus. Okay, so when I was watching this movie, Disney Plus crashed like in the middle of it and just would not work for a solid 20 minutes. Um, and then I finally managed to get back in, and then it crashed during the middle of the end credit scene, and I was able to get back in very quickly
So I have
afterwards.
to thank you about set talking about the end credit scenes because I would have completely forgotten to watch it if you didn't mention it.
Yeah, you got to remember Marvel has post credit scenes, and then I can't remember when it starts, but at some point they start having two post credit scenes per movie.
Also, no, I forgot the name, and I need to remember the name because I frick was it?
The name of
No,
what?
I will continue. I know I had it up in a tab, and I'll continue pulling up tabs until I find it.
But yeah, something to really,
There it is. The Tesseract.
yeah, they showed the
I for
Tesseract.
I complete. That's what I was trying to find the name of. I
Yeah.
was very interested in how oh actually the shot of the final scene where he's seeing the Tesseract that has unlimited power and he can see Loki in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
That I actually love that shot.
Yeah, it's really cool. I also like really love them showing the Tesseract this early, and it will actually be pretty important in the next movie. Um,
Hmm. That's Captain America, am I not wrong?
yes. That was a weird way to word it, but yes.
Um so Captain America, that's interesting.
Uh huh.
So when does this movie take place on the timeline?
You mean Thor?
No, Captain America.
Captain America takes place in the 40s.
Fun. Okay. So obviously Shield. Well, does Shield exist in the 40s?
No.
Didn't think so.
I will say I will kind of spoil something relating to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's not really that big of a spoiler, or really a spoiler at all. S.H.I.E.L.D. has a category for items like Thor's hammer, where they can't really, where they don't really know where the object came from or what it does or anything. And they title items like it 084.
Hmm.
And it basically just means an object of unknown origin.
Okay.
And there's a reason why every object of unknown origin is considered to be an 08. It is called an 084.
Why is that?
That we will talk about if we ever cover Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2.
Hmm.
Earlier, we were talking and you were saying that it was unclear to you whether S.H.I.E.L.D. was the good guys or the bad guys.
I was talking about that, yeah, and you told me to remember this moment. I'm just gonna recap what I said. A very lot of this movie, you can see the the supposed good guys literally taking away the research, pushing them down, and spitting on them. Not Thor,
Well, it wasn't that
Hulk,
aggressive, but
metaphorically. Um, I don't remember them doing that much to help Hulk either.
well, S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't really involved with Hulk at all, actually.
Who is the one hunting Hulk down?
The military.
That yeah, it makes sense. And they were just there in Iron Man. Just
2.
there. Sorry, yeah, Iron Man 2.
Yeah, they
They
were
just didn't
there.
exist in Iron Man.
Yeah. Well, they did exist in Iron Man, sort
They
of.
just didn't want to get there. It's like, frick this guy, I don't care about him.
It
Not
was more
now.
of like you didn't recognize that it was S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, right,
It
I almost forgot about, I
because
almost forgot about the ending scene, where he's like, I'm Iron Man. Duh. That's the first time S.H.I.E.L.D. popped up.
yeah, and then there's also like Nick Fury in the post credit scene because Nick
Mhm.
Fury was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. at that point.
Honestly, when you started saying that, I was like, wait, I thought he was a fiction. I thought you were gonna say director of the movie.
No, Nick Fury was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's unclear whether Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon. Um, Hawkeye is seeming to suggest that they're going to bring in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. somehow. Um, I don't know how they're going to do it because seasons 6 and 7 don't really work unless it's a different universe, timeline, or whatever.
I
But
mean,
like
Loki basically piled up a bunch of mess and said, what if we made everything work?
yeah. I mean, Sylvie sort of caused the multiverse to become a thing. But we'll talk about that
And here, I
when.
thought we weren't doing Loki spoilers.
Yeah, that's not that big of a spoiler because you don't know anything about how.
Bigger than the one I said. Also, every time I think about that goddamn cube, I just think of a different name for the cube. I can never. The Tesseract.
Yeah. We can call it the Tesseract. That's fine. The next movie's going to call it the Tesseract anyway.
Um, but I'm just gonna call it the unknown cube of origin that glows blue.
Well, unfortunately, the Tesseract, as far as we know, was never named as an 084.
Where the hell did it come from anyway?
Good question.
Wait, you don't know that?
I do know,
Okay, cool.
but I think you
Like,
won't be able to find out until
or God, if you
Guardians
say Agents of
2?
Guardians 2, damn. Oh God, it's all coming back to me.
Or is it Guardians 1? It's one of the Guardians movies.
So I will now have that ride, the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, ever imprinted in my brain every time someone says Guardians of the Galaxy.
All
You
right.
know that they just renamed the Tower of Terror Guardians of the Galaxy. Just as an elevator ride. If, ugh, I still feel like I'm floating. I feel like I'm floating after remembering that.
Yeah. And you know, we should talk a little bit more about like okay, I was talking to Lily about this earlier. The MCU is special for a lot of reasons. When I was younger, before the MCU was a thing, comic books weren't cool. Really, only the nerds were reading them. Only the nerds were going to watch the superhero movies. But the MCU exploded. It became a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and that just was kind of unheard of. And it's largely because outside of the superhero aspects, the MCU is character-driven stories. And it does these character-driven segments well. Like Tony Stark's story arc is going to involve narcissism and PTSD, and it'll be a story arc where he grows and learns to get over that. And like, you know, the Incredible Hulk is about anger management. Thor is about humility and um
Let's not
honestly,
start wars out of nowhere.
yeah, Loki is more about like um well, for starters, Loki is also a narcissist. Uh, but then at the same time, learning to cope with like being adopted and not having been told, which that never ends well. If you decide, like, if if you're a parent of an adopted child, it never ends well if you decide not to tell them. It just never does. And I've spoken to therapists about this before, and they have also told me they have never seen a case where it ended well.
I mean, they
And if
will
a
find out eventually, and as much as you like to say, them finding out on their own is never better than telling them.
exactly,
But yeah, no, Odin really just went up to Loki's like, "You're adopted."
except no, like the way it happened in this movie was like
It was
Loki,
more of a meme. That just
yeah, Loki just sort of figured out that he was a frost giant. Um,
that is a bit weird though. How much do they bring this up again?
uh, well, the fact that he's adopted is referenced again in the Avengers.
It's not a spoiler for saying that. I do not remember it being brought up in Loki, the show, because I had no idea about it.
um, it might be referenced again in the Dark World. It might be referenced again in Ragnarok. It is referenced again in Infinity War.
Oh, came out the Frost Giants. What happened to them after this movie?
We never see them again.
So we know that their leader's dead.
Okay, actually, that's not true. We do see them again in What If.
So we don't see them again
Yeah, we don't see these
in the
specific.
sacred timeline, I
Yeah, we don't
guess.
see these specific versions of the Frost Giants again.
If you mind telling me, which episode?
What
What
if
if?
Thor was an only child?
That definitely would change things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because then Loki would probably still be raised by the ice giants, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
And it's kind of I don't know if it's kind of depressing that Odin
Hmm.
took Loki as like a potential peace bargaining chip instead of just out of compassion.
I. It's one of those situations where, at at the very end of it all, I can't say that he's lying when he said that he views Loki as his own and he loves him. At
Yeah,
the
but
same time, I can't say that his original reasons for taking Loki were out of compassion and more out of selfish reasonings.
yeah, exactly. And then okay, something I will criticize the Thor trilogy for is it never really acknowledges that Odin was not a good parent. And at the end of this movie, like Thor even says something about like how there will never be a better father than you. And I'm like, bro, there already are a lot of better fathers than Odin, and there will probably always be better fathers than Odin. Maybe not better kings. He was a good king, but not a very
He
good
was a
father.
damn good king.
Yeah.
I
It's like
mean,
a lot of the times I feel like in fiction we see great kings who are not great fathers, like Breath of the Wild for instance, where and that was an unfortunate thing where the king of Hyrule literally had to choose between being a good king and being a good father. There was no middle ground, but Odin could have had both.
also, how do you just approach your son and say, "Hey, you're a frost giant"? Like that is the most unheard of thing I could even think of.
You can reveal, like, I would say you could reveal that, like, he's adopted early on and then give him more details as he gets older. The fact that he lied to him for millennia, I mean,
How
Loki
old
reacts
is Loki?
millennia old. Like the Vikings worshipped them as deities. So even though in
Right.
the even though in the MCU they aren't actually deities, they are just advanced beings with extremely long lifespans. Um,
So, do we see Odin die?
no, well, no, not in this movie.
Oh, obviously not in this movie. I'm just saying in general.
I'm not going to spoil that.
Because I feel, and I'm just going off what I know about the flashbacks that happened in Loki. Because they did just briefly explain everything that happened in Loki's life in like the first episode.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil that.
Honestly, they didn't say anything that happened to his father, but what happened to other things that could have implications on his father.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. This movie. Another thing I will say, I kind of dislike in the Thor series is that they under they underutilize Sif and the Warriors 3. Um,
Wait, they underutilized? I know they just introduced them out of like pure nowhere, but like, oh, they were so cool.
I love that scene like early on where Thor's like, "Come on, Faendrol, who did yada 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 yada,"
Oh my
and
god, I
he's
remember
like,
that.
And he's like, you did. And he goes to the next one, and he's like, and who something to do with food? And he's like, you did. And then he goes up to Sif, and he's like, and who proved that a lady could be one of the fiercest warriors in all of Asgard? And she's like,
I
I
did.
did.
I like how Thor's like, fair, yeah, you're right, but I helped.
He's like, you're right, but I supported you. Like, I love Sif, and I love that she got used more in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Really? She's a
Yeah.
freaking agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No.
Damn.
But she is in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for some episodes.
One episode. That's it. You only get
So
one episode.
she gets one episode every now and then, I think. I still
I think.
haven't even finished season 3, so
7 seasons. If we have to cover that, that's just gonna be
we
so
do have to
painful.
cover Daredevil because they made Daredevil canon.
Okay, but how long is that?
I don't know how long the seasons are, but there are only 3 of them.
Great. That's infinitely. You've already gone better than Shield, unless they just decided. What if we made every? What if we just put every episode in existence into this season?
But yeah, I would say regarding this movie, it definitely sets up Thor and Loki's characters quite well. And Thor obviously gets some development. He is worthy of Mjolnir, which, you know, worthy of Mjolnir at the end of the movie. Um,
Because he's willing to sacrifice himself for the town, I guess, for his friends.
I think it's more than that. I think it's like okay, so the rules for what counts as worthiness are murky. Um, but like there are some characters who are willing to sacrifice themselves for other people, but
But are
aren't,
not worthy.
yeah, but are still not worthy, and we will see that in a later movie.
I feel like it's like a combination of like, take all of your good traits and has to reach more than a certain threshold. I mean,
Yeah, it's
he was
like
willing to sacrifice. I feel like it's more of he was willing to sacrifice himself
I
and
feel
not
like it's a
just he's gonna
combination.
fight. Like when I say sacrifice, usually I think of is he's willing to fight to his last breath. No, he was willing to make himself a peace offering.
Yeah,
I feel like that
I
was one
think
of the things.
I think it's a combination of humility, integrity, um, and just willingness to sacrifice yourself for other people. I think it's a combination of things, but
I mean, it would definitely
there,
have to be a combination.
but it is definitely murky. And I guess I'll even spoil this a little bit. I won't tell you who they are, but only 4 characters in the entire MCU have been shown to be worthy.
So obviously, Thor is one. Are you counting Odin?
Yes, I'm counting Odin.
Okay, so we have Thor, Odin, that one person that I know. Then who's the fourth one, I wonder?
We will see.
How interesting.
But yeah, I think
Oh, what was Mr. Stark's robot called again?
which one?
Jarvis.
Okay, the AI in his suit and
Yeah,
also in his house thing.
I would love an AI in my house.
You have an Alexa.
I said artificial intelligence, not just artificial.
It is an AI by definition. It's just not a sentient one like Jarvis.
I can't call it an AI mostly because, I mean, it responds by voice blips and other thing. I can't call that smart. I call that um if and statements.
But anyway, um, I think this movie could have been better. I think the Thor trilogy could have been a lot better. It's like been rated as the weakest Marvel trilogy, and I can certainly see why. Because Thor 1 was just okay. Thor 2 is no one's favorite Marvel movie, and Thor 3 is pretty good. Like Thor Ragnarok is pretty damn good.
So basically, recovers the Thor series, but it's just a bit too late.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll be honest, I love Thor. Like, up until this far, I think Thor is my favorite MCU movie, like, which is 4.
Yeah.
We've covered 4. It's not that much, but it still counts for something. Also, I can hear myself, like, very mumbled in your, like, through your mic. It's
You
very
shouldn't
mumbled. I can't even, like, I can't understand what I'm saying, but I can understand my mumbled self.
you shouldn't be able to hear yourself at all because I'm wearing headphones.
Through the rules, um, it happens anyway.
Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I was gonna say, like, screw the rules, I have money.
But anyway, I think I want to talk about the critic reception of this movie like we do in every movie that we cover. So let me find my screenshots folder real quick. Found it. Okay, so IMDb gives this a 7 out of 10.
Okay, pretty average.
Rotten Tomatoes gives it 77%. On Metacritic, it has an average score of 57.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that bad. And then 85% of Google users liked the movie.
that's pretty low. For obviously for Google users.
Yeah. So what would you rate this movie?
God, and honestly, it feels like I've been rating way too many things just 8. And I don't think it's. Do I really think it's that good at being an 8? It's hard to tell. Because at the same time, I have this absolutely loving Loki right now, and especially his staff and all of his powers. Oh, and but there's one thing. I feel like we didn't get to see enough of Loki and the abilities he can do as a trickster, as a
We saw some of
god
it.
of mischief.
Like we saw some of his ability to create illusions. Um, we didn't really
Oh,
see shape shifting at all, and
the shape shifting would be cool.
I actually don't think we really ever see it.
Wait, what?
Okay, that's not true. We do. We see him change his clothes and stuff with shape shifting.
Anyone can. Oh, actually, okay, never mind. I was about to say anyone can change their clothes, though I guess it's different, you know, with magic.
Oh, and he does pretend to be other people sometimes in other movies.
I feel like I've seen a bit of clips from that, just from, that's more mischief. rather
It,
than a battle ability.
yeah.
I mean, okay, for about them not being gods, I feel like I hear him say that he's the god of mischief quite a lot.
Yeah. Thor and Loki tend to call themselves gods a lot in the MCU, and well, not so much Thor anymore. Um,
Oh, so
because
there's the Loki's narcissism.
yeah, pretty much. He'll say it occasionally. Like Thor will say God that he's the god of thunder occasionally.
I mean, he was able to trick some mammal buffoons that he's, a god, so why not go around saying it?
Okay, I don't really think they tricked the Vikings into believing they were gods. I don't really think that's what the MCU is saying. I think it's more of like the Vikings saw them and believed them to be gods.
But how do Vikings see them if no one can see them?
Well, I mean, they did say that millennia ago, Odin led. Oh,
Oh,
well, the
that's true.
Asgardians helped lead humans in a battle against the frost giants because they were attacking Earth.
Oh, yeah, so that's probably where they saw him.
Yeah.
Also, why does, and I know this is all have to do with actors and whatnot, so Thor and Loki, very old. Why does Thor look like he's in his freaking 20s?
Because, like, their long lifespans, like, they spend a lot of that life in their prime.
Amazing.
And obviously, Odin is way older than either of them. And that's reflected in how he looks.
I wonder how much years left to live if no one killed him. Not saying that someone will kill him, but I mean, it's effing Odin. I don't know why I expect someone to kill him, but I really do.
Oh boy. Thanos sure wishes he could.
Can Thanos reach Asgard?
Yes.
Hmm. Wait, okay. How do you go to another realm?
They're actually just planets.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's kinda lame.
And the Bifrost is more of just like a super fast method of travel. It's not even teleportation, but yeah.
So it's not even teleportation, it's more like, what the Star Wars does is like, hyperspeed or whatever.
I
Like,
guess. I don't know. I don't know shit about Star Wars.
have you ever seen like a clip where they just go really fast and
I
spaceship?
specifically try to avoid seeing Star Wars clips
Why is that?
because I don't care about Star Wars at all. I don't like it.
Hmm. I don't care about it that much, though I might start watching it.
But real quick, something I do want to say before we wrap this up because we really
Hmm.
should be wrapping this up.
Wait,
Um,
hold on a second. I don't remember you ever saying your rating.
oh yeah, 7.
Cool. Well,
But
that was
anyways,
anticlimactic.
yeah. So something I do want to say. Wait, I don't remember you saying yours.
Shit. Oh yeah. So, I fuck 7.9.
All right. Well, this is sufficiently awkward.
We are both dumb.
Indeed. It's probably because we've tried to record this podcast 3 times and we're both tired.
Very.
But yeah. Real quick thing I want to say. A lot of people say that the ending of this movie is completely negated by the events that happen in the Avengers. I disagree, because the ending of this movie still makes it clear that Thor will somehow eventually find his way back to Earth. And yes, the Avengers is just gonna kind of be vague about it, but it is still a sacrifice because Thor just can't go back to Earth right away and be with Jane.
Also, let's not forget that Loki has said that there's other ways to get, to the other realms.
Yes.
So this is already established, by the way. Loki's already done this.
But yeah, I think we can wrap this up now. This is a bit of a longer episode for, us not doing plot summaries anymore.
Yeah, we just started talking, and I think that's how I'd like, us to go doing forward, talking about if we're not going to do plot summaries, I feel like we should just more of a natural way of us talking about, what we like about this movie and how the movie makes us feel and whatnot.
Yeah, and also what we don't like about the movie.
Of course, yeah. No, positive vibes only. Not kidding.
Oh yeah, can't wait to do the positive vibes only podcast on the Sea of Monsters.
10 minutes long, let's go. We can't even say our ratings because that's not positive vibes.
But yeah, anyway, for now, we're going to wrap this up. We will see you guys next month with Captain America: The First Avenger. Until then, I have been Hazel, that's been Lily, and we will be seeing you.